Hi guys, and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. Welcome back if you've enjoyed our videos before. Today I'm cooking out of Deep Run Roots, Vivian Howard's cookbook. And we're about to go to the beach, and when we go to the beach we usually do like a seafood boil of some sort, and so I've been thinking about that. And I saw that she has a recipe for a Frogmore steam in this book. Usually it's a Frogmore stew. She uses less liquid and just basically steams the seafood and the shrimp and everything. Well, the shrimp is all the seafood in this. And I happened to have everything I needed for the rub, and I had corn, and I bought some shrimp at the grocery store and was looking for something to do with it, and this is what I found. So the first thing we need to do for this recipe is to make the barbecue shrimp rub. And I've got all my ingredients all measured out here. First is some smoked paprika. I was missing, I didn't have quite enough smoked paprika, so I just augmented with regular paprika. Now this is ancho chili powder, and I ran out of little bowls, so I also put my chipotle powder in here. I buy a lot of my spices at Penzeys. Both of these came from Penzeys, and in fact, I couldn't find chipotle powder in my regular grocery store or any other stores, but luckily we have a Penzeys locally, so I had that already because there's another recipe in her book that uses it, which I was making. This is coriander, ground coriander. And then we have ground cumin and some brown sugar. And then I did not have ground celery seed, so I had whole celery seed, and I just ground it in this mortar and pestle. It didn't take that long. It's pretty small to begin with, so I'm going to add that. I made sure I had a little bit more than enough in here. And then some salt. And that is it for the rub. We just have to mix it up, get it all incorporated together. And we're not going to use all of this, so you can keep this in a container. I usually store mine in plastic bags in the cupboard. She says for up to 2 months or so. So we'll probably be making this again, or you can use it probably in place of Old Bay if you have recipes that call for Old Bay. I'm guessing this is kind of just a substitute for Old Bay, because most of the recipes that I've found use that instead. So we're just going to measure out the amount we're supposed to use for this recipe, and later I'll put this away. I'm going to reset everything and be right back. Okay, so I didn't notice that I'm supposed to bring this up to a boil, but I'll do that in just a minute. My stove, I'm supposed to bring this up to a boil after I add this. My stove boils pretty quickly, so I'm going to do that in just a minute. But so we add just a tablespoon of our rub to, she wants you to use cornstarch, but water is fine. I did not have enough corn to make cornstarch, even the 2 cups that the recipe wants, so I'm just going to use water here. Probably make cornstarch later. She has a recipe for putting up corn, which we love to do when corn season comes around. It's not there yet here. It's the end of May, actually beginning of June. So corn will be ready soon, but not quite yet. I'm going to bring this up to a boil, and then we'll add sausage and potatoes, and then it goes into the oven at 400 degrees. So my oven's already preheated, but I'm gonna go ahead and bring this up to a boil. So I brought this up to a boil very quickly on my stove. I used power boil this time because I just need the liquid to be hot. And we're going to add the potatoes. These are new potatoes, just cut in half. I bought a little bag of, let me see. the Little Potato Company. I think it's probably early for potatoes, new potatoes as well, but you can buy these pretty much anytime at the grocery store. So I've got that, and I've got sausage. This is a smoked sausage. You can use any smoked sausage that you like. This is not spicy, just a plain smoked, not a kielbasa, but just plain smoked sausage. And then this is, it's supposed to be 4 ears of corn, but one of our ears of corn was not good. So we only have 3 ears, but that's all right. And just put all of this in here, and we're gonna cover this, and we're gonna put it in the oven at 400 degrees for 40 minutes. We're just looking for the potatoes to be pretty much done at that point. So I'm gonna put this in the oven, and we'll come back in about 40 minutes. So this is our Frogmore steam, not stew, and it's been in the oven for 40 minutes as she suggested, and can put a fork through the potatoes, so that's done. And now all we have to do is add these shrimp. So these shrimp are slightly larger than the one she calls for in her recipe. She asks for 21-25, which is 21 to 25 shrimp in a pound. These I think are 16 to 20, so slightly larger, and there's slightly more of them. I'm going to give it a little bit more time than she suggests, just because they're slightly larger, but she says 5 minutes, so I think I'm gonna give them 7. But basically everything is just, just goes back in the oven. Put the lid back on and put it back in the oven for 7 minutes, and then we'll be back. All right, so this has been 7 minutes since we put this back in the oven, and the shrimp looks pretty done to me. So now we have a few additions, and then it's gonna be basically ready to eat. Doesn't go back in the oven at all. So first we have some butter, which was cold when I put it on here, but is not now. We're gonna put almost all of the barbecue seasoning that we had left from the measured amount, and save a little bit for dusting on the final product. A little more salt, and then some lemon juice. I had a lemon that I had used the zest of in the refrigerator, so I just, oh look, it's basically the juice of 1 lemon. Excuse me. So now we just kind of stir this up and get it all mixed, get the butter melted, make sure there's not just a ton of seasoning on one piece of corn like there is. Yeah. And she suggests that you put this on a really large serving platter with a rim, because you want some of this juice, and then you serve it in bowls, and suggest that your dining companions dip things into the juice for more flavor. So I do not have a huge serving dish, so we might not be able to get everything onto the serving dish that I have, but I'm gonna plate it all up and we'll see what it looks like. So yesterday for lunch, we made the Frogmore steam recipe from Vivian Howard's Deep Run Roots cookbook. It was really easy, actually. We all enjoyed it. I was a little concerned about the kids with the chili powder, especially the chipotle powder in it. I thought it might be a little too spicy for them, but it certainly wasn't. They didn't say a thing about it and didn't complain until I mentioned at the end of the meal that there was some chipotle powder in it. I thought it might be too spicy. So as long as they didn't know about it, they were fine. It was delicious. The potatoes, which were perfectly fine when I put the shrimp in, actually were a little bit falling apart by the time the shrimp were done, like 7 minutes later. And the shrimp were perfectly done at 7 minutes, even though I added an extra couple minutes because they were slightly larger than the recipe called for. So the potatoes were a little overcooked at that point, but they were still good. Just falling apart a little more than I would have liked. But all in all, it was really good. It was really very easy. A lot of just throwing ingredients together, especially since I didn't make the corn stock. But even without that, it was really good. So we are probably going to make this when we go to the beach. So it will be a lot more because there will be more people eating. This serves 4 as it was. We had a little bit left over, but really not that much. So, you know, we all enjoyed it and we would certainly make it again. So if you like this video, please click like and subscribe on the bottom, and we would enjoy having you come back and watch us again. Thanks.
Working with amateurs here.
You get what you paid for.
I'm an amateur too, so, you know.